Hi guys, how's everyone doing? My name is Magno Guillen and this is just a video for explaining cable making. This is for the class TCN 4211 Telecommunications Network, and the professor is Faisal Kalim. This video is just for instructional purposes only. Um, the main topic for this video will be just a basic tip and instructions on how to make very simple cables that you use every day for your life for your computers, and just so you can have internet access. The two main types of cables that I will be explaining and showing how to actually build are the straight through and the crossover cables. First of all, there's two different standards you can use to make these two cables. It all depends which ones you use. Whatever you have to remember is that if you're using a specific standard, that's the one that you gotta use for everything. For instance, we have the T568 standard, which basically, as you can see from this video, it's very straightforward. It tells you which ones are the connectors that you're supposed to use and in which order. And then you look at our T568B standard, it tells you which one you're supposed to use and in what order. If you notice both of them, the only difference is the green and the orange, and the white green and the white orange. The order in which they're located, it basically switches around in both standards, which is very crucial for you to utilize. I'm gonna actually be showing the T568B standard because that's the one I use for pretty much everything, and that's the one that I have to use. Because if you're using two different ones, it's not gonna work. So basically, we have the two cables. We have a crossover and straight through. Crossover cables. Crossover cables are basically used to communicate, I will say, between similar devices. So if you want to plug in a computer to a computer for whatever reason you want, if you want to plug in a router to a router, that's the cable that you're going to use. If you use another cable, it's not going to work. Straight through is basically just, as the name says, a straight through cable, just connecting from one device to another as long as they're not the same. Basically connecting your computer to the switch, and then whatever connections you want to connect, your printer, your devices, whatever you need, you use a straight through cable. Now, as opposed to actually making the cable, for the crossover, we're actually going to use both standards. So one end is going to have the T568B standard, and the other end is going to have the T56A standard. So all you got to make sure is that whenever you're making those cables, one end is once the T568B and the other end is a T568A. Which end doesn't really matter, you just gotta make sure that's how you have to have it set up. Now, straight through cables. Straight through cables, they have to be the same both ends. You could either use the T56A, which is shown in this diagram. Both ends are gonna be the same ones. Or you can use the T56A, which the green will change with the orange, and that's pretty much everything you gotta remember for that straight through cables. Now I'm just gonna show you guys a fast way to actually make these cables and just to test them. I'm also gonna be showing the tools that I'm gonna be using for making the cables and how you could actually test the cable and basically do a quick troubleshoot if you to see why the cable's not working or why you might not be getting connection even if you have the cable plugged in. So just stick around for that. Hi everyone. Before I actually show you how to make the cables, I want to introduce you to the tools that you're going to be using. The very first tool is this one over here. It is called a stripper. Not that kind of a stripper, but you use it for basically ripping off the coating of the cable. So you expose the cables, the actual inside of the cables that you could untwist, so you could do the connections into this little thing over here, which is called this is the actual RJ45. Basically the cables go into this, and then once you actually make sure that the cables are in the right order, you're going to use this tool over here to actually crimp the cables in place so that they don't come out of the RJ45. Now, to actually test the cables, there's many different tools that you can use. This one over here is called Fluke. I will also show you how to use this for troubleshooting cables and to basically just helpful information about cables. This one will actually tell you if the cable is right and if it's wrong and why it's wrong, which connection is the one that's messed up. There's another tool that doesn't show you as much information, but it's actually useful too. this one's just basically testing the cables. You plug in the cable in one end, you plug it into the other end, and it basically you turn it on, and the little lights would show you if the connections are all made right and which ones are, if any, are actually faulty to the actual connections. So now we just have to actually introduce you to actually making the cable. The cable that we're going to be using is this one right here, Cat 5 cable. You see no end over here. So I'm just going to show you how to make the cable. So I want to show you how to make the cable. You see the cable here has no end. Very first thing you want to use your cable stripper to basically just rip open the casing of the cables. It's really simple to use. Just twist it a few times and then the cable comes out directly. Some cables may not introduce this little cable or this little string. It's really not important to us. Basically you just grab your cutter and then you're gonna cut it off. I like to leave like a lot of spacing for the cables to show, just because it's easier to maneuver actually the untwisting and they're actually putting into RJ45, which can get really tedious if you're not when they get to like about this size. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna do a straight through cable. So we're gonna use the T568B standard, which basically the order will be white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. So the first thing before anything, you want to untwist these actual cables. Untwisting is pretty simple. Just gotta make sure everything's straight. I like to untwist the beginning at the end first because it's easier, and then just leave it in the order that they're supposed to be. And then we get to the middle ones, which are the blue and the actual green. Another blue. Alright, so now you just want to get them in order. So we have white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. So if you notice, it's always going to be a color with a white and then a solid one. Color white, solid, color white, solid, color white, solid. So that's like an easy tip to remember. And if you're going to use a standard, the other easy thing to remember is that the colors that go next to their respective color and white. So it will be the orange, the brown, and the blue. Other than that, the green gets separated. So basically what you want to do, you want to bring them together. I like to twist them around, move them around like this so they become straight. And just make sure that everything's good. White, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. Then you want to give it about a nail distance, and then you want to cut it. Make sure you cut them straight because you don't want some connections to be longer than other, because then you miss out. You cut them. And now just basically use your RJ45 connector. The tip to remember how they go in: the clip goes in the bottom and then you put everything in. Just before you put them in, make sure that everything's right in order. Check the colors: white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. Looks in right, and then just push it in. Now that you have it already inside, you use your crimper. So basically, just put the cable inside and just rip. And then you see everything is right in order. Now the only other thing you gotta do is you gotta do the other end, and you should be good with a connection. So I actually finished the cable already. Just to not waste your time. What I did on the other side was make it a crossover cable. Basically you switch the green and the oranges, and there you go, you have your crossover cable. Now the next thing I want to show you, it's going to show you using this tool for testing purposes. Now this is called a Fluke. It's a very expensive device, but the best thing about it is that it tells you all the details about the cable. So first thing is you plug in the cable at both ends, and then there's a button there that says auto test, and then you click it. Then it starts just reading the cable. The awesome thing about this is that it tells you how long the cable is and what type of cable it is. So I don't know if you could really see it over here, but it tells you it's a 9-foot crossover cable. So, and you see all the connections, you know that they're right, nothing's cut in the middle, nothing's bad. So there you go, that's the crossover cable, and then you know that it's good. Now I have this other straight through cable over here. Just want to show you what it looks like when you test that straight through. You plug it in both ends, and then you basically just run the test again. Starts doing this little measuring wire map thing, and then you're gonna see that it tells you that this is an 8-foot straight cable, meaning straight through cable, so that you know that the actual device is good and everything. Now I just wanted to talk to you about real quick about troubleshooting cables. The easiest thing that you know if that you have any connections to check the kind of cable that you have. When you look at the cable physically, you see the ends over here. Now that you know the standards, you're able to just basically look at the cable and realize which standard it's using. Look at the other cable. If you have a straight through, you gotta make sure that they're both the same. If not, you're not gonna have connection if you're connecting computer to a switch. And vice versa, if you need a crossover and stuff like that, you're basically not gonna be able to connect if you don't have the right standards. I'm just gonna show you this other tool over here to test. You basically just put in the cable into both of them. And then you turn it on. And when you turn it on, you see it's just gonna go through the maps, just mapping that everything, making sure that everything's right. And that's another way to test your cable. This is a cheaper model because basically there's no information being transferred or anything. It's just testing your cable if it's right or wrong. And the other good thing about this Fluke is that you can use it to diagnose networking issues. If you're using it for your house or whatever company you have, this is basically the one that we use for testing everything. You plug in your cable on one end, you plug it into a switch, and it will tell you of what actual protocol errors that it shows, if there's any, and which connections are bad. Like it will display a message showing you everything about that. Well, hope you guys enjoyed the tools. Just a quick tutorial on how to make a cable. It should all be once you do it, you won't forget how to do it. It's like riding a bicycle, so you should be fine. Whenever you have to make your own cable, you should be more than able to do it, whether it's straight through, whether it's a crossover, or whatever cable you need. All you need to know is how to do it and have the right tools. Alright, thank you for watching.